The final days of Hulk Hogan's life were far more heartbreaking than fans had imagined. While the wrestling icon's passing at 71 sent shockwaves through the industry, it's now being revealed that Hogan had been enduring a devastating health decline for weeks behind the scenes. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter's Brian Alvarez, Hogan was intubated and battled multiple serious conditions, including renal failure, fluid overload, and severe chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, following neck surgery on May 14th. When his health continued to spiral, doctors at Tampa General Hospital came to the grim conclusion that nothing more could be done and discharged him to receive care at home. Radio host Todd Clem, also known as Bubba the Love Sponge and a longtime associate of Hogan, had reportedly known much of the behind-the-scenes information. Weeks prior to Hogan's passing, Todd claimed that the Hall of Famer was suffering from a weak heart, required oxygen support, and was experiencing intense fatigue and shortness of breath. He added that Hogan had spent 6 weeks in the ICU and had lost a significant amount of weight, struggling with even the most basic daily activities inside his Clearwater mansion. When it became clear that the end was near, Todd revealed, they took him out of the hospital and made a hospital in his house as there wasn't much left they could do. One of the most devastating parts, according to him, was that Hogan, famous for his unmistakable deep voice, had completely lost the ability to speak. Just weeks earlier, Hogan's wife Sky had tried to dismiss the growing concern online, publicly denying claims that Hogan was in a coma. She insisted at the time that his heart was strong and that he was simply recovering from surgery, but privately, things had already taken a severe turn. By the final week of his life, Hogan could no longer speak at all. While one person close to him claimed he wasn't quite as bad as rumors suggested, they also admitted that the reality was much worse than what was being shared publicly. Then, on Thursday morning, tragedy struck. Emergency responders were called to Hogan's Clearwater home following a cardiac arrest. EMTs and police arrived on the scene, and Hogan was transported on a stretcher. He was later pronounced dead at the age of 71. Todd also disclosed that during his final days, Hogan made efforts to reconnect with estranged loved ones, including his daughter Brooke, with whom he'd had a complicated relationship. The two had not spoken since shortly before Hogan's 2023 wedding to Sky Daily. While Todd couldn't provide further details, he mentioned that Hogan had hoped for reconciliation in what would be his last chapter. From superstardom in the 80s to a quiet battle in his Florida home, Hogan's final moments were a stark contrast to the spotlight he once ruled, but even in his final days, he showed a desire to heal personal wounds, a reminder of the man behind the legend. As the wrestling world continues to mourn the death of Hulk Hogan, fans have taken aim at AEW for remaining silent during this emotional moment. While WWE, TNA, NWA, and even independent promotions like GCW shared tributes celebrating Hogan's legacy, AEW has offered no public acknowledgement, sparking heavy criticism online. The backlash has reignited memories of Tony Khan's 2020 statement where he declared both Hulk Hogan and his then-wife Linda banned from AEW events. At the time, Khan cited Hogan's controversial past involving racist comments and pointed to what he felt was a lack of sincere remorse. That decision remains in place, and Khan's silence this week appears to reflect that same stance. However, many fans believe that regardless of personal views or past actions, Hogan's influence on pro wrestling is undeniable and at least deserved a moment of recognition. One fan commented directly under Khan's recent post, urging him to set personal feelings aside and honor the Hall of Famer for what he meant to the business. The debate has split the fan base. Some continue to back AEW's position and Khan's principles, saying a line must be drawn somewhere. Others argue that Hogan's passing was a time to focus on the impact he had in the ring and the memories he created for generations of fans. With no official word from AEW as of now, the silence continues to fuel discussion across the community. Do you think AEW should have issued a tribute to Hulk Hogan, even if briefly? Or was their decision to remain quiet justified? Let us know where you stand in the comments. Now, before his death on July 24th, the WWE Hall of Famer had been quietly working with WWE and Netflix on a major docuseries highlighting his life, career, and legacy. According to Puck News journalist Matthew Baloney, filming had already begun with over 20 hours of interview footage completed. The project had remained under the radar, but it was shaping up to be Hogan's most in-depth portrayal to date. The Hulkster died mid-documentary. Unfortunately, he also left behind an unfinished docuseries on his life that Netflix has quietly been working on since last year. The documentary was being produced by Words and Pictures, the team behind The Last Dance, and was led by director Brian Storkel and executive producer Connor Schell. The project aimed to cover both sides of Hogan's life, the beloved in-ring hero who helped globalize WWE, and the controversial public figure who weathered legal battles and personal setbacks. There's no official word yet on whether the series will be completed or when it could be released, but fans are already hoping that the footage captured can become Hogan's final message to the millions who grew up chanting his name. While Hogan's Netflix project remains uncertain, one of his final dreams is still very much alive. Just days after his passing, Hogan's business partner confirmed that Hulk Hogan's Slam Sports Bar, his ambitious restaurant and memorabilia concept, will officially be opening as planned. And fittingly, it's located right across the street from Madison Square Garden, the very arena where Hulkamania once ran wild. In the days following Hogan's death, fan demand for authentic memorabilia has exploded, and one rare item is now making headlines of its own. According to TMZ, Hogan's signed NWO wrestling boots from 1999, already scheduled for auction, have nearly doubled in value following news of his passing. Initially expected to fetch around $40,000, experts now believe they could bring in between $60,000 and $75,000 when they go up for bid through Heritage Auctions on August 24th. These aren't just any boots, they were worn in 5 key matches during Hogan's WCW run in 1999, including his WCW World Heavyweight Championship defense against Ric Flair at Super Brawl 9. Covered in visible wear and tear, marked with NWO logos, and signed by Hogan himself, they represent a crucial chapter in wrestling history. What makes the story even more special is how the boots were preserved. According to Heritage Auctions, Hogan personally gifted them to the sons of a longtime sound technician who worked closely with him. They've now been fully authenticated by Sports Investors Authentication, who matched them to all 5 documented matches. With so little of Hogan's in-ring gear ever reaching the public, these boots aren't just collector's items, they're relics of an era that will never be replicated. Enjoying the video? A quick like goes a long way in helping us grow and deliver more wrestling news you care about. Travis Scott's short-lived WWE run appears to be over before it ever truly began. The rapper, who was previously set to be a surprise playable character in WWE 2K25's downloadable content, has officially been pulled from the game following what's being described as a complete breakdown in his relationship with WWE. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Scott had a full falling out with the company. As a result, he was completely removed from the DLC lineup and replaced by El Grande Americano in one pack and by returning star Aleister Black in the WrestleMania-themed pack. The breakdown reportedly stems from Scott's involvement at WrestleMania 41, where he played a dramatic role in helping John Cena capture the undisputed WWE Championship. That storyline has since been scrapped, and reports indicate that WWE initially had plans for Scott and Cena to team up at Money in the Bank, but those plans never materialized. It was reported that the reason for the cancellation was entirely due to Scott, as he was not a quick learner for the business and showed no interest in fully committing to the process. He was also expected to have a role at SummerSlam, but once again, discussions reportedly fell apart before anything was finalized, leading to growing frustrations on both sides. The Observer noted that it's now open season to knock him within WWE, and that sentiment was echoed directly by Drew McIntyre, who didn't hold back on Impaulsive. Reflecting on the chaos of WrestleMania, McIntyre bluntly called Travis Scott a piece of WWE has frequently included celebrity guests in their games and storylines to attract crossover appeal, but fan feedback this time wasn't particularly kind. Many players expressed disappointment over Scott's inclusion, preferring actual wrestlers on the roster instead. Internally, it's been said that Scott also struggled during his in-ring training sessions. His lack of experience and resisting to adapting to the WWE style reportedly contributed to the growing frustration on both sides. With Travis Scott now removed from WWE 2K25, absent from creative plans, and drawing heat from the locker room, it appears the company has quietly closed the book on this experimental collaboration. Was Travis Scott ever a good fit for WWE, or was this ending inevitable from the start? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. WWE was reportedly setting up a major spotlight for LA Knight at SummerSlam, but an untimely injury to Seth Rollins has now forced those plans off the table. According to a report from Bodyslam.net, LA Knight was positioned for a 2-part storyline that would culminate in a major win at SummerSlam. The angle was set to begin at Saturday night's main event, with Knight taking a loss to Rollins before earning redemption on the big stage. But with Rollins now sidelined, that entire narrative has been scrapped. As previously reported, Rollins has admitted he may be out for an extended period following his latest setback. However, backstage speculation still suggests he could appear at SummerSlam in a different capacity, possibly by cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase on the winner of CM Punk vs. Gunther. Meanwhile, Knight has already felt the sting of lost momentum. He recently came up short in a gauntlet match to determine the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, and with no confirmed match yet for SummerSlam, his immediate future is now uncertain. That said, LA Knight still has something most can't manufacture: crowd connection. His charisma, mic work, and surging popularity continue to keep him in the conversation, even without a confirmed direction. Whether WWE will pivot and give Knight another big moment remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure, the fans are still ready to say yeah when his music hits. Should WWE carve out a marquee spot for LA Knight at SummerSlam? Drop your thoughts and fantasy booking ideas in the comments below. Just weeks before they compete for the women's tag team titles at SummerSlam, Alexa Bliss and Roxanne Perez met in the ring for a singles match. The match helped continue the rivalry between Bliss and Charlotte Flair's team and the Judgment Day, and that ended up reaching a new level of tension after a specific split-second move that Bliss was forced into following action outside the ring. Bliss saw Raquel Rodriguez about to powerbomb her partner when she launched herself from the top rope to the floor, hitting the Twisted Bliss to save Flair in the moment. Bliss's personal sacrifice came at a price though, as Perez was waiting for her when she got back in the ring, immediately dropping her to the mat to get the win. This is when the situation got serious, as Bliss was busted open with her nose pouring out blood heavily as the camera crew did their best to try to avoid showing the extent of the damage. Flair smartly made the most of the situation by checking on Bliss inside the ring to show concern. However, later in a backstage segment, she said, "This can't happen at SummerSlam," as if almost teasing that she's a friend. However, throughout the match, they continue to push the idea that they're not friends, just allies of convenience, despite their growing chemistry. WWE hasn't issued an official update on Bliss's condition yet, but she is currently still scheduled to team with Flair to compete against the Judgment Day at SummerSlam, but that could change if the injury is serious. Fortunately, PW Insider has reported that Bliss is doing fine and the injury isn't a serious one. Instead, she just got a cut, which has since been taken care of. What's your take on Bliss's bloody injury situation on SmackDown this week? Let us know what you think in the comments section. Elsewhere in the women's division, Jade Cargill got into a backstage fight with Chelsea Green, eventually spilling out to the ring as Cargill continued her attack before the bell rang. Interestingly, fans spotted Alexa's Lily doll, though it was alongside Roxanne Perez's jacket and Bliss's, which were placed in the usual gorilla position, a standard practice for talent post-match. However, the real focus was on the MFTs, who were seen talking with The Miz, which teases an interesting development. Meanwhile, Cargill continued to dominate when the bell rang, and despite a small comeback as Piper Niven and Alba Fire watched on, it was Cargill who got the win after hitting Jaded. Post-match, the Secret Hervis jumped the Queen of the Ring until Cargill's SummerSlam opponent, Tiffany Stratton, made the save. It was essentially a squash match to put Cargill over, but Stratton saving her made no sense outside of WWE wanting both women to be babyfaces. SmackDown started on a somber note this week though, as the entire roster, alongside several legends, stood on stage to honor Hulk Hogan. Triple H spoke about the iconic wrestler and the impact he has had on both WWE and the broader wrestling world. A traditional 10-bell salute then followed as the audience fell into a respectful silence. That was followed by a beautiful video package showcasing the birth of Hulkamania to how he helped take WWE global. Jimmy Hart was shown visibly emotional on stage as he wiped away the tears in what was a fitting tribute to a legendary figure. However, the mood shifted drastically after the break as Logan Paul made his way out to a mixed hometown reaction, tapping into his normal, arrogant persona that fans have come to know and expect. The YouTuber wasted no time dropping some insults about the local area as he then introduced his guest Jelly Roll, who received a great reception from the WWE Universe. Jelly Roll fired back at Paul with some promo jabs as he called Paul a silver spoon kid, with the WWE Universe firmly getting behind the musician in this moment. Drew McIntyre made his way down to the ring to stand beside his tag team partner, and that led to the Randy Orton chants as the Viper obliged and made his way to the ring. Orton wasn't around for a chat though, as he dropped McIntyre immediately with one shot, kickstarting a brawl just days before their SummerSlam tag team match. The heels initially gained the upper hand, but Jelly Roll and Orton ended up clearing house in a segment that felt worthy of closing the show rather than just being in the middle of it. It was predictably booked, but the fan reactions proved that it served its purpose as they were heavily invested, with a standout moment being Jelly Roll delivering the Black Hole Slam. This move resembled the Boss Man Slam that the Big Boss Man made famous, and Jelly Roll's execution was surprisingly smooth and very close to the original, which fans appreciated. What did you think of the Orton and Jelly Roll team-up? Does this change your prediction for SummerSlam? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. This week's show was missing John Cena, but his SummerSlam opponent Cody Rhodes was on hand to address the upcoming street fight as he thanked Hulk Hogan publicly to start. Rhodes put over Hogan while admitting that the emotions regarding his passing were complicated, and what wasn't complicated was the impact that Hogan had on wrestling and entertainment. The American Nightmare called the Hulkster the original WWE superstar and took the time to thank him for his contributions over the years. However, he then turned his attention to Cena, claiming he doesn't want to wrestle Cena as he has one foot out of the door. Instead, he wants to fight the real Cena, who isn't about nostalgia. He wants Cena to bring it like it's his first match, and he wants him to provide all the hustle, loyalty, and respect he can muster so that he can beat it out of him, as he told Cena he would see him next week. WWE appears to have quietly pulled the plug on a major SummerSlam weekend plan involving Cody Rhodes, and it's not part of any storyline twist. According to PW Insider, the WWE late night event featuring comedian Tony Hinchcliffe and headlined by Cody Rhodes has officially been canceled. The show was set for August 2nd at the Bergen Performing Arts Center in New Jersey as part of the festivities leading up to SummerSlam, but with just days to go, the entire event has been scrapped. The reason? Reports say the ticket sales were light, leading WWE and organizers to pull the plug rather than push forward with a half-empty venue. Ticketmaster has now marked the event as canceled, and a memo has been sent to ticket holders confirming that full refunds are being processed. Cody was heavily promoted as the main draw for the show alongside Hinchcliffe. No other WWE talent had been advertised, making it a much smaller, focused offering compared to WWE's usual fan-facing events around major pay-per-views. This would have been Hinchcliffe's second WWE-branded comedy show following a roast-style event earlier this year that sparked controversy after leaked audio revealed off-color jokes aimed at various WWE stars. That reception may have added caution around this weekend's event, though the primary reason given remains low interest from fans. Were you planning to attend the Cody Rhodes-Tony Hinchcliffe event? What do you make of WWE pulling the plug on this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. SmackDown produced a big twist this week as Kiana James made her return, and she's standing alongside the Women's United States Champion, Julia. James turned up as a mouthpiece for the champion, as Julia didn't say a single word when she confronted Zelina Vega backstage, who was pushing for another shot at her title. James stepped up to do the talking, shutting Vega down as the confrontation eventually led to a title match being scheduled for the following week. It's a pairing that may have caught some people off guard, but there is logic to the idea, as Julia isn't a native English speaker, which is why it makes sense to have James help present her in a way that she gets over on the main roster. Will this new alliance lead to championship gold or implode before it gets off the ground? Elsewhere, Jacob Fatu's backstage promo was interrupted by The Miz, who claimed that Fatu had put him on the shelf for 6 weeks, but noted that the time away allowed him to figure out who he is. The A-lister then slapped Fatu before revealing they had a match, yet when the bell rang, The Miz tried to avoid the Samoan werewolf as much as possible, but Fatu eventually beat him down. As the match went on, Solo Sikoa and his crew hit the ring, with Fatu fighting them off before beating The Miz with a Samoan drop. However, he was immediately jumped by Sikoa and his group. Jimmy Uso hit the ring to try to even things up before the match was over, but Tala Tonga ended up being the difference maker as the family brawl took place, with Fatu being left lying after a Samoan spike, pushing their feud even further. The main event of the show saw the Wyatt 6 members Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy defend their tag team titles against Fenix and Andrade in what was an enjoyable encounter. At one point, it seemed that Andrade had the match won as he hit the message on Gacy, but Nikki Cross pulled the referee out to cause a disqualification, allowing the Wyatt 6 to retain the gold. Eric Rowan added insult to injury by attacking the challengers, only for the entire tag team division to hit the ring as a giant brawl took place. SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis was on hand to calm things down though, as he made a blockbuster announcement that all of the teams will get a shot at the titles at SummerSlam in a huge TLC match. The main event itself was shorter than expected, but it was cool to see WWE give the champions a full entrance to showcase their star power. Meanwhile, the Street Profits and DIY had another tense backstage segment on the show, with their issues being a long-standing one after their previous feud for the titles. Fans also got their first look at the Wyatt 6 side plates, as a Y appears to represent the Pluto symbol alongside the Nightbird logo that the faction is known for. It's a cool look, and one that drives forward the darker aesthetic of the group, although they are clearly being positioned as heels after this week. WWE Shop has also dropped a random new piece of merchandise in the form of a Wyatt 6 book, which features creepy artwork and cryptic texts and QR codes that are linked to Uncle Howdy's journal. Fans of the group and Bray Wyatt will want to check this out in closer detail, as it's no doubt packed with hidden details. WWE also dropped a video package to hype up Damian Priest's upcoming match with Aleister Black, which will go down next week. We are ending with an interesting update from SmackDown that most fans didn't get to see, featuring World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. While he's preparing to defend his title against CM Punk at SummerSlam, the ring general faced AJ Styles in a street fight in a post-show dark match, and while he got the win, it was Styles who had the last laugh. The Phenomenal One sent Gunther crashing through a table to wrap up the night, sending fans home happy and possibly giving a hint at future title aspirations.